All right, place your bets. Place your bets. It's time to elect the next poop, the 267th poop. And it's going to be Wednesday, May 7th is the first poopal conclave. And probably by the end of the week, we'll have a new poop. So who's going to be the new poop? There are 133 Cardinals eligible to vote because they're under age 80. Need a 2/3 majority, so that means he needs 89 votes, whoever it's going to be. It has to be a baptized Catholic male. The top candidates, as I've mentioned before, Pietro Parolin, age 70, he's Italian. So I'm wearing my Screaming Sicilian Italian mustache in honor of the new poop, assuming he's going to be Italian. Pietro Parolin is the Vatican Secretary of State. So he's like the right-hand man, like the VP, the Pope's chief advisor. So he's probably going to be the next poop. But Matteo Zuppi, who is also Italian, age 69, he is the AI pick to be the next poop. He is the Archbishop of Bologna, as I said before. What a perfect thing, because whoever is going to be the next poop to do a good job must be full of baloney. So Matteo Zuppi is the pick of AI. So those are the ones, and I've talked about this before, but now we're getting all excited about it. It's your last chance to place the bets, because Wednesday, May 7th is the first poopal conclave. And so they'll probably elect the poop sometime this week. They'll probably want to be out for the weekend. You know, these 133 Cardinals are under age 80. About 120 or so, I think, are over that. So, you know, they're not, it's not like they have a lot of energy and wanting to stay up and pulling all-nighters anymore. You know, that's for the young folks. So they'll probably put in their vote pretty quickly here. So, but what I want to do in this video is talk about, of course, who I think should be poop. And I've talked about this before, that my pick for poop is Mel Gibson. Yes, Mel Gibson. And his name would be obviously Poop Hollywood, which is really a redundancy, the word poop and Hollywood together. You know, that's pretty much the same thing. But I'm going for Mel Gibson to be poop. I mean, he's a baptized Catholic male. Now they're saying you also got to be a Catholic bishop. But they're saying some guy, top guy, he could be elected poop. He's a cardinal, but he's not a bishop. And they said if they elected him poop, they'd just immediately make him bishop. So the qualification to be a bishop is no big deal. I mean, Mel Gibson could be the poop, and they could just make him a bishop right away. And would be great, because he spent a lot of time getting, no one is more passionate about the passion of Christ than Mel Gibson. He spent all that money on that, and now he's spending a bunch of money coming up with a movie on the resurrection of Christ. But the Catholics aren't too keen on that. They like to keep Christ on the cross. But hey, he's still Christ-centered. He should really, if he really wants to increase his poop chances, he should really do a movie on the Blessed Virgin Mary. Hallelujah. That would be really something that really put him at the top there. Plus, his house burned down in the fires in California recently, so he doesn't have a home, right? So put him in the Vatican there. And plus, he get the old lady vote, because I know my wife, her grandmother, always thought Mel Gibson was great ever since he showed off his butt on Lethal Weapon movie. And so that she just thought he was great after that. So, and plus, cute butt plus poop. I mean, those two things go together, right? So, Mel Gibson, great choice. Poop, he could be the first. Poop, Hollywood the first. And because he's, obviously he's a big Catholic. Out of everything he's done there, he's well known. So I think he'd be great. But what they say is that there hasn't been a poop elected who wasn't a cardinal for over about 650 years is the last time that's happened. So they won't even consider anybody who's not a cardinal. So I'm going to tell you, okay, let's limit it to cardinals. Let's say Mel Gibson is out because he's not a cardinal. So who would I select? Well, my first pick, if I got to pick a cardinal, is Mark McGwire. I know he started with the A's, but when he was with the Cardinals, I mean, he had that home run contest with Sammy Sosa, and he broke the all-time single-season record for most home runs in a year. I think Barry Bonds beat him later on, but he at least for a time held that single-season home run record. They even had in St. Louis, they had that area, the Big Mac field, part of the stadium there where he hit the big home runs over there. So great, real popular Cardinal. So I think Mark McGwire would be a great pick. Plus, he's got the great red hair like I do, and it's probably graying a little bit like mine. Let's see, I think he was a rookie in 1986, if I remember correctly. So that would put him at about 60 years old. Be pretty young for a poop, but he'd still, he's a Cardinal, so he could match that. So Mark McGwire would be a good pick, but probably an even better pick if you gotta pick a Cardinal. Now, I like the Cardinals of the mid-'80s. Ozzie Smith, Willie McGee, Vince Coleman. I mean, those guys get on base, and they flew. Those Cardinals flew. They could steal bases like crazy, those guys. And Ozzie Smith was known for his gymnastic stuff. He'd be in the All-Star game. He'd do all this acrobatic stuff. He was a Hall of Famer for sure there. He's in the Hall of Fame. So you got some great Cardinals back then in the mid-'80s. But for me, I wouldn't go that route. I would say if you want a real good candidate for poop that's a Cardinal, I say Albert Pujols. Now, Albert Pujols was probably the greatest hitter in whenever he played. Was it the first decade of the 2000s, I think? The first 10 years there in major leagues. He played for the Cardinals. So he was the best player. I'm sure he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He should be on the ballot in a year or two, I think, and he'll be first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll be in for sure. So he played about 10 years for the Cardinals, and then he retired as a Cardinal. So he'll be in the Hall of Fame as a Cardinal. So there you go. You need a Cardinal to be the next poop, Albert Pujols. But here's a couple added extra benefits. He's from the Dominican Republic. He's a Christian. I don't know if he's Catholic, but he's at least a Christian. So he's already got that going for him. Mark McGwire, he had that steroid scandal, and they say his record is tainted, and they found some substance in his locker, and of course he never admitted to anything, but they say, it's tainted. You didn't have that with Albert Pujols. He is a clean guy, and you want a clean guy to be the next poop. But another great thing about Pujols, so he plays 10 years with the Cardinals. Then he goes and he signs and plays with the Angels for about 9 years, then a year with the Dodgers, and then the last year he played with the Cardinals. He's with the Angels. I know they say you got to have a Cardinal to be poop. You hadn't had somebody in the last 650 years who wasn't a poop, or wasn't a Cardinal to become poop. But I would think being an Angel is more important than being a Cardinal. I mean, Angel is higher up than man. Got more power. They announced Jesus' birth, his resurrection, John the Baptist's birth. They've done a lot of things. Spoke to Daniel. Angel Gabriel spoke to Daniel. They're higher up there. So you would think if you want somebody that's holy, here's somebody who is a Cardinal and an Angel for about 9 years. Yeah. And get this. Okay, let's say Albert Pujols becomes the next poop. Got to pick a poop name. I suggested Poop Hollywood for Mel Gibson. But for Albert Pujols, his nickname when he was a Cardinal, he was called the Machine. Yeah. His nickname was the Machine. Now, think about this. The poop, I believe, is a precursor. I think the guy who's going to be the false prophet, Revelation 13, is going to be whoever is poop at the time. He's going to be the false prophet. There's a lot of good reasons for that. And he, in Revelation 13, the false prophet, gets the world to build an image and causes the image to speak and bow down. He could speak, and then those who don't bow down to the image of the beast, he can kill them, cause them to be killed. So it's probably an AI machine. See there? See, Albert Pujols, Cardinal, and an Angel. He's called the machine. The false prophet's probably going to be the poop. And he has an AI machine as the image of the beast. There you go. I mean, there's 3 great reasons right there that Albert Pujols should be poop. And since he's probably 50, maybe he's about 50 years old, not quite, he could be poop. He could be the false prophet. You know, he could be in there like 40 years or however long it takes before you get that false prophet on the scene. He could be there. So, if they're smart about it, they'll pick Albert Pujols. I personally would go with Mel Gibson, but you don't like the whole somebody's not a Cardinal. And again, Albert Pujols, he's a Christian already. You could just go ahead and make him bishop and then elect him poop. And he's already an angel, Cardinal and an angel. How do you beat that, right? And he's called the machine, so he can transition into the AI technology. So, image of the beast. So, what do you think about that? Anyway, put down in the comments below, and let's see who you think the next poop should be. Thanks for watching.